Oh my goodness, Wargaming have just released a live stream that I reacted to, and if you want to see the full reaction, the unedited reaction, that will be posted later today or tomorrow, so don't miss that. And the link to their stream is also going to be in the description below if you want to watch it, and they cover a few things that they want to implement into the game. Some look promising, but many look downright dumb. Really bad for the game. The Quality of Life Initiative, brought to us by these two gentlemen, Bam1500, the lead game designer, who I think is awful at his job, I'm just going to be honest, and Winged Eraser, the senior player experience manager, the player experience manager. Here are his stats. Very experienced, knows the game very well. Glad that he's the player experience manager. But let's get into the Quality of Life Initiative, which includes quality of battles, tank balance, and gameplay balance. This is fun because we literally just had a video the other day where we said we were like, Wargaming, these changes will fix World of Tanks, and they actually touch on the same symptoms within this video. They touch on the same symptoms that we brought up. However, their ways of going about fixing them are asinine. That's the word I'm going with. I think, okay, let's get a definition out of the way real quick, okay? Doing something over and over again and expecting the result to change, well, that's insanity. And we're going to get into what is insane very shortly. But first things first, they talked about matchmaking. They said that they're going to be implementing skill-based matchmaking. It is not going to take priority over mirror-based matchmaking, which is where you have just as many tiers on one team as you do the other team, just as many same tier tank destroyers on one team as you do the other team, and so on and so forth. And it's also not going to take priority over games played. But the skill-based matchmaking is based on, they said it's going to be triary and quadrary. So it's a tridary mechanic that takes a look at how often you win, what your win rate is, and then it's going to try to find somebody on the other team who matches that. And they're also going to be looking at how often you win in the specific tank that you're looking at. So I don't know why they have all four of those parameters. They have matchmaking looking at class and tier, then it's also looking at how many games you have, then it's also looking at how often you win, then it's looking at how often you win in that specific tank. It's like, okay, well, which one is it? Which one is going to take priority? The matchmaking looking at class and tier is going to take priority, so not much is going to change with that. And they believe that this is going to help fix the bum rushed super fast Zerg landslides. They did address that, and they did say that does exist, and so that was nice of them. It will not necessarily fix that because it is not based on what you believe to be the problem, which is, oh, it's just one team has better players than the other. No, it has to do with the in-game's accuracy. Every tank has more penetration now, every tank has more DPM, every tank has more speed, every tank has more gun handling. It's just what you do. You just buff and buff and buff and buff, and it's those equipment slots. You have 3 equipment slots that are way too powerful, and you have 9 crew skills which are way too powerful. That's the problem, and this won't fix that. European server is still going to be absolutely crazy. Matchmaking should not be looking at class and tier first. They should be looking at win rate first. Since you're going to be adding that, may as well really dive into it. So that's the first thing. Now we actually have a picture of something else that they're looking at, and this is to address the Yolo zurging on Cold War. They believe it will fix it there, and they're testing it there, and then they may bring it to World War II. The test is Cold War only, eras 2 and 3. They might bring it to World War II, and that is terrifying. So what this does is, if you are in a heavy tank or specific tank destroyers, and you are on hard terrain, you go your speed limit, which is usually 69 to 72 kilometers an hour in Cold War, which is ridiculous and stupid. Wargaming admits that that's too fast. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers should not be going that fast. So the simple solution would be stop releasing them going 72 kilometers an hour and nerf the ones that you have in game. No. We're not going to do that. We're going to be very complicated and change the terrain resistances all over the game. They said they took a paintbrush in their schematics and they painted on sand and they painted on dirt and they painted on grass and they changed all the terrain resistances. Now if you're a heavy tank and you hit grass or dirt, it's considered medium terrain and your tank will slow down about 15 to 10 kilometers an hour. Then if you hit mud, or water, it's considered soft terrain, and you're going to slow down to almost 20, maybe even 25 kilometers an hour. And so we're talking major speed differences when you get to medium and soft terrains. And this will work on the heavies, sure, and the 3 tank destroyers they're testing it on. It will, but it won't fix the light tanks, which are the tanks that I usually hear people complaining about in World War or Cold War, or the light tanks. So I don't know how this fixes it. And so I was like, okay, well, what about the Weasel? What about all those tank destroyers? What about all those mediums? And, well, it doesn't change those. Maybe don't make all your tanks go 72 kilometers an hour. That probably would have fixed this, and you never would have had this issue. Which, by the way, I called out day one. I said the tanks were too fast. Day one of Cold War when I first tried it. When I first got to play Aerith 2 and 3. I was like, these tanks are too fast. Like, what was it, the Mobat? My gosh, it was like, this is too fast. This is not fair. So that won't work. The other thing that we need to make sure Wargaming does not do with this terrain test is they do not bring it to World War II. They're like, oh, this works so well, now let's bring it to World War II. You are never going to play the mouse again. I'm already going 15 kilometers an hour in my mouse on like El Alamein because it's all sand. It's already soft. But now it's going to really, weight is going to come into effect, and I'm going to slow down even more. If I'm going 8 kilometers an hour in my mouse, I'm not playing it anymore. I'm not playing my Type 5. I'm not playing my T95. I'm not playing my E100. So this had better not come to World War II, because heavies already, super heavies especially, already have it rough in World War II because they've implemented huge maps. So do not, for the love of all that is good in this world, do that. Next, tank balance. Oh my goodness, this is where we're getting to the definition of insanity. They believe that changing these tanks will help the gameplay, because now you're going to have more tanks that are strong, more tanks that can YOLO and join the rush and join the zurg. And they have done this before. The problem with World War II right now, because this is World War II changes, the problem with World War II right now is not tank balance. There are some imbalanced tanks that I wish were not in the game and I wish would get nerfed, and we're going to touch on those later. But they are not the biggest issue. If you remove those tanks, if you nerf those tanks, if you balance those tanks, there's going to be some other issue. There's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be a tank that people are going to complain about. We do have some that are just broken. We do. But it's the gameplay. Are the mechanics that are broken in this game that need to be fixed. We can't go around buffing tanks all the time, willy-nilly. We need to nerf tanks before we buff tanks. Nerf tanks before we buff tanks. Specifically, tanks need to be less accurate. Then people aren't zerging around so much. Less autoloaders, less accuracy, less penetration, okay? Less damage, less DPM, less speed. That's what we need. Let's take a look at what they're doing. Tech tree and premium balance adjustments, stock tank loadout improvements, which will be decent, but it does not fix the grind, and general stat-based improvements including damage, armor, penetration, and speed. What did I just say? Less damage, please. Less penetration, less speed. They're buffing 120 plus tanks to have those things. You think, what about the armor? Will that make it so that they don't die as quick? What do you mean? Penetration and alpha and speed are getting buffed. They're still going to die just as quick. And so what they're specifically doing, this is something that we touched on in our video the other day, where we said players don't want to grind tanks anymore. They don't. And so they're like, okay, what do we do to fix that? Let's buff stock tanks so that they're not as painful to grind. Okay, you know what that doesn't fix? I don't care if you buff the Tiger 2. It is not going to save it. It is not going to be a more fun grind when you have to go up against a Rogaldorn or an Avery or a Tehran or a Lehman Russ. It's not. If you make the Tiger 2 have this laser point gun or give it more penetration or whatever you're going to do to it, it is not going to help it. The best thing for this, which is something that is less complicated, is +1 -1. My stock Tiger 2, my stock IS-3 should not have to fight Averys. It's still scary to fight a Type 4 in one of those, but that's more manageable. +1 -1 would fix this, and it would be simple and easy, and people would love it. Yes, you would miss out on some of those games where you were bottom tier and you have a great game, but I guarantee you're not doing that in your stock tank. I guarantee it. You're like, oh, people tell me. They're like, oh, I just had a game where I did... This wasn't someone glorifying or advocating for +2. He was just saying that one of his best games was in the Dragon, and he was -2, so he was fighting tier 10s, and he did 8,000 damage. That's great, but you were in a Dragon. You know, you weren't in a stock Pershing. You're not doing that in the stock Pershing. So, +2 is not good, and that needs to be changed. But they're looking at about 60 mediums, 50 heavies, and 15 tank destroyers. And it's from tiers 8 through 10, and specifically they want to touch on stock tanks. They especially want to talk about stock tanks because they want people grinding again. Wonderful. So here are the tanks that they give it as an example. What's the first stock tank? It's not a stock tank. It's a tier 10. It's a tier 10, a Manticor. What about the next one? The FV225. It's a premium tank. What about the next one? The Chisel. Kronvong. None of these tanks are stock tech tree tanks. They're tier 10s, endgame, tier 10 endgame. They didn't give us a single example, even though that's what they emphasize in their video. You should watch it if you want, or watch my full reaction. Yeah, it's a good one. This is the definition of insanity. You know how many times they had balance updates in this game? They had one, which we talked about, where there were 207 tanks that were changed. Then they've had multiple since then, where there have been over 100, sometimes 200 again, that they have changed in this game. They've had 50s, they've had 60s. 120 will not fix the game. They think, if we rebalance these tanks, the game will be fixed. No, it's your gameplay that sucks. This will not fix the game. You have tried this over and over and over again, and the complaints are the same. This is insanity. What are you expecting? You're expecting this time we've got it. This time we've changed the tank so perfectly, it's gonna be fixed. No! You're going nowhere with these changes. It's asinine. That's why I'm using that word. Remove that dumb buffed equipment that you have. Remove the dumb buffed crew skills that you have. They're so overtuned. That will fix your game. Go back to the old equipment. Go back to the old crew skills. And we're going to touch upon those in just a second. Because believe it or not, they are making it worse. And we're going to get to that. But let's move on. So, talked about here's the Manticor. The Manticor is getting buffed basically to how it used to be. It's still not as good because you still only have 400 meters view range instead of the 410. But I had no idea they nerfed it so bad. So the Manticor is still not as good as it used to be. Then they're buffing the FE225. Why? Who asked for this? I don't know. Isn't the point of this tank the fact that it can double shot? Isn't the point of this tank the fact that it has insane standard rounds? Isn't that the selling point of this tank? Why do you need to give it even more DPM? Why does every tank in the game need to have absurd DPM? And this is something I touched upon in the unedited version. The Tortoise was awesome because you used to be able to get that to 3,300 DPM. That was amazing. That was so cool back then. 3,300 DPM. Do you know what you get it to now? 4,800. Why does it have so much DPM? Why does every tank, you can get every tank above 3,000. You can get every tank basically to what the Tortoise used to be. Why does every tank have to have over 3,000 DPM? You could get the STB1 to 3,000 DPM. That was insane. You can have 3,000 DPM on a medium tank? You can do that? That's amazing. You have 3,100 DPM on the 57 Heavy? How do you do that? That's amazing. Now they all have over 4,000. The DPM is absurd. Moving on to the Chisel, a buff. They're nerfing its reload, but that's because its alpha is going up to 440. Okay. I don't think that's going to hurt the game, but again, it's a buff. Kronvong, rotation speed got buffed, and its alpha went from 400 to 440, and its accuracy has gotten better from 0.36 to 0.35. You're more accurate, and you're doing more damage quickly. Doing more damage quicker. Again, it's wonderful for the tank. It needs something. But at least balance it. At least for the Chisel, they removed its reload for the alpha. For this, please take away a shell from the magazine. Okay? Balance it. Stop making it so everything kills things faster. That's your problem. Next, top secret. Okay, manual siege mode. Some tanks are now going to have manual siege mode instead of it being automatic. STB1, you have to press probably right on D-pad. UDES, all three UDES, the same thing. You have to enter and leave siege mode. Hallelujah, that might help the STB1 a whole lot because that tank sucks. So long as it has its 10 degrees of gun depression back outside of siege mode. However, I don't think that's going to be the case. And what it's going to do is the forward speed is going to change, but the dispersion factors during rotation are going to get better, and the shot after penalty is going to get better. So your guns are going to be perform better once you enter siege mode, and you'll be going slower. So, and above stats it says are not an overview and may not take effect on every tank. Okay, fair enough, but we'll see. Next, premium tank changes. This one is good. It might not do much because, again, we're talking about mechanics that need to change. But they are reviewing right now the impact of premium tanks and planning changes. These are the first tanks under review. They're under review. The Turan, under review. Might not get changed. Hopefully it does. The Avery, it's under review. It might not get changed, but it might. The Micro Mouse at Tier 2. Panzer Kronvong 38H. That's a random one. I didn't realize that was overtuned. It does do very well, because it's hard to kill. Okay. It's under review. Might not change. The AAT-60. Under review. Might not change. They made one good point through this. They said, these tanks are, specifically the Turan and Avery, are oftentimes banned from competitive leagues. Therefore, they must not be liked. Or they must be too good. And the word he used was toxic. He used the word toxic on Turan and Avery. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe that he did that. He said they were toxic. And they are. And so they're going to probably be nerfing them. However, I don't think they're going to do enough. The T-249 they nerfed, but they didn't change what made it toxic. Was its ability to just go to somebody and they're dead. I have a feeling they're going to nerf the gun handling or the reload of the Avery. And be like, there, we did it, guys. But it's not going to fix the fact that it just drives around and derps you in the face. It still derps you. It still doesn't need to pen you to damage you, and when it does, it's still going to do a ton amount of damage. You have to completely rework the Avery for it to work, because what you built it on is what's broken. Turan would be easier, and I've said this change a whole lot, and I was corrected. The Turan, or the Su-152 in Cold War, actually has 850 alpha damage, not 650. 650 was the number that I wished our Turan had. And that is what I would do. I would make the Turan like the Waffle Panzer IV, but at tier 10. I would give it 650 alpha damage, I'd give it a more accurate gun, and I'd give it pretty decent DPM. And that's what I would do. No longer does it hit you so hard and stay hidden or skirt away. Now it only hits you for 650 and it hurts, but you can react. Okay, 650 hurt, but at least it's not 950. And that's what I would do to it. And then the AAT-60 is toxic because it's way too good. And so that one does need to change as well. Commander skills and tank equipment. Buckle up. Oh no. These changes are buffing every single tank in the game by 33%. Every tank is about to have a 33% buff. CloneGuy, how does that work? Well, let's get into this. First, Sixth Sense is going to be added to all commanders. Finally. I have not been asking that for 8 years. Oh wait, I have been. Freeing up a skill slot. So you're still going to have 9 skill slots, so now you're freed up to throw on something else if you'd like to. I think that's pretty cool, but I'm also nervous about it because crew skills are so powerful in this game, and now they're going to be even more powerful because now you're going to technically have 10. You're going to have 10 crew skills to choose from, and like I said, those are what are kind of broken, and those are the reasons you have YOLOs, because everyone can hit on the move. Now more people can take run and gun, and snapshot, and smooth ride, and all the other things, okay? So that one could be risky. This next one is so bad for the game. Oh my goodness, and the way they described it. Enhanced targeting info added to all tanks, like it used to be. It never should have been an equipment piece to begin with. Freeing up an equipment slot. Wait a minute, so you're adding enhanced target info back to all tanks. Okay, fair enough. So we're going to have 3 slots again like we had before? Because that makes sense. 3 slots is good, 3 slots is fair. In fact, 2 slots I think is fair. I wouldn't change it. And I would lose that vote if I said I think 2 slots. But 2 slots is more tactical. 2 slots you actually have to think. You have to decide, what do I want to excel in? Do I want to excel in accuracy and DPM? Do I want to excel in view range? Do I want to excel in speed? Do I want to excel in gun handling? You know, like these are the things you have to ask about. But with 3, You can spread it out. You can have your gun rammer, you can have your vertical stabilizer, and you can have your coated optics. Good job. You can shoot quickly, you can shoot well, and you can spot people and shoot them. Nice. What this does is it frees up an equipment slot. They said you will have 4 slots still to choose from, meaning now you can throw your turbo on, now you can throw your camo net on, now you can throw your armor angling on, now you can go on your E25. Do you know how I'm going to play the E25 now? I'm going to be so toxic and cancerous. I'm going to be playing it with the gun rammer. I'm going to use the camo net. I'm going to use optics, so now I'm out spotting you too. And I'm going to use vents. I'm going to have maximum DPM, maximum view range, maximum camouflage. Oh boy, E25 is going to be so much fun. And you can do that for all sorts of tanks now. You want speed on one of your tanks and still want DPM and still want gun handling? Now you can. You can throw on gun rammer, vertical stabilizer, and both speed boosts on your IS-7. You could go 72 kilometers an hour in your IS-7 with no penalty at all to your DPM or your gun handling. You could go 72. What? My Leopard 1 right now has gun rammer, camo net, and speed, and it's disgusting. It goes 78 kilometers an hour. It's so fast, and it's so invisible. And because of my 410 base view range, I have so much view range. Now, I can throw on a vertical stabilizer if I want to. I can hit everything. I can throw on vents, boost my view range and camouflage. I can throw on optics and have insane amounts of camouflage. I can throw on more speed and go 80. Can you imagine going 80, I think 81 kilometers an hour in the Leopard 1? You can do that now. And still have your camouflage, still have your view range, still have your... It's asinine. And what they said, why they are doing this, is because they want to respect how other people have their equipment set up. In other words, there are people who have removed enhanced targeting info to have all 4 slots. And so they've decided this is a game, instead of taking the reins to our game and fixing it, we're going to cater to the 2% people who remove enhanced targeting info, because it is a small number, so that they can still have 4 slots. Meaning now everyone is going to have 4 slots. No, just be like, sorry, we tried this, players don't like it, so we're going back to 3 slots, and enhanced targeting info is going to be built in. Just do that. Do that. Lastly, they don't have any screenshots of this. They talked about... I know, I'm freaking out, guys. This is awful. They talked about the cap circles. They said people are capping too quickly. And so they're going to be running a test in either August or September. It sounded like they're going to let us know when they're going to do it in August. And they're probably going to have it running in September. Where instead of standard battle being the standard battle and the most common, team destruction is now going to be the most common game mode that you get. They said, and again, they're doing it the most complicated, not a complicated way. They're doing it the worst way possible. They're fixing their game the worst way possible. They said Ardennes is not working because people are just capping the base. Well, duh, because you have both teams spawning 400 meters away from their own cap circle. So just move the cap circles. Just move the cap circles. And like, no, we'll just remove them. No, just move the cap circles. The other thing that they could do, and he said they might have a timer where you can't start capping until maybe 5 minutes in. That doesn't work either. It should not be timer based because each game is different. It should be kill based. Kill based. Because capping the base is not tactical yet. Based on time, it's based on where you are in the battle. And so I think once 50% of the lobby is killed is when capping becomes tactical, and that's when it should be allowed. And I'm not talking, oh, the enemy team lost 50% of their tanks. No, I mean out of all 30, there's 15 players left. Now bases can be capped. I think capping is very important for the game. It adds an element of a dynamic to it. It's a dynamic way to play. I don't like people just capping the base, and I don't like people capping the base when there's 1 tank left. I hate that. But it adds strategy. It adds okay, if we put somebody on base here and we put someone else there, then we can lure people in and shoot them as they come. We're losing this game. We got to cap fast. You know, there's all sorts of things why capping. It's psychological warfare because you can jump on the cap circle and pull people like, oh, we know where he is now and we're going to head toward him, but now you've relocated and then you catch him out. The cap circle is very important to the game, and simply just removing it, I'm going to use the word again, is asinine. It is lazy and the worst way to go about it. Find an in-between, find a way to fix it, find a way to do something. These ideas are not going to fix your game. They are a waste of your time. They're a waste of all of our times. Okay, you know the problems. You said so. You know the YOLO is bad, so I'm glad you know the symptoms. You do know the symptoms. Now, please listen to your player base. In this stream, you go watch it. I'm serious, go watch it. Link in the description. Or watch my uncut version, which will be soon. He kept saying that we listen, we're very transparent, we're very open with you guys, we listen, we want to hear everything you have to say. No, you don't. You are full of it. You ban people for asking a question that has already been asked. You're just like, we already asked that, we're annoyed with you, banned. You just straight up ban people for that. You ban people asking about me. You ban people for asking about +1, -1. That's a bannable offense, is talking about +1, -1. You don't care. You don't care for people's opinions. You only care for the ones that line up with what you've already decided. And that might be me speaking out my butt, sure. But that's what you've shown. You are horrible at your jobs. You're horrible at your own game. You don't know how it works. You ban people who actually have knowledge of the game. You don't listen to those who know what they're talking about. And I don't need to be listened to. I don't need what I want in the game. I don't. I am just a voice. But, oh, because CloneGuy said it, we are not going to listen. Oh, because somebody mentioned CloneGuy. Oh, because this guy knows CloneGuy. Oh, because this or that. You guys are so close-minded. You are not transparent. You are not open-minded. You are not listening to feedback. People are critical because they love the game. You are banning the people who are critical of the game because they have a passion for it. Those are the ones you want to listen to the most. And they said at the start of their stream, one last point before I'm ending this rant. At the start of their stream, they said that they want to take into account all players with these changes. All players. They said the casual ones, the ones who only get on the weekends, so the weekend warriors, the tryhards. They said they want to cater to everyone, the veterans, the new players. And I'm like, no. No, you do not. You do not try to appease everyone, because you never will. And when you do that, you get stuck, or you do half-hearted ideas, which suck. There is no art in it when you are trying to cater to everyone. Art is gone. Look at Hollywood. That's all I'm gonna say. When you're trying to cater to everyone, art is gone. Good movies these days cater to their audience. They know. I don't know if you guys have seen the F1 movie. I did. I thought it was awesome. You know why it was good? Because they knew their audience would be male. And so they made it for men. They didn't try to water it down and say, oh, let's try to get a female audience to watch this manly movie. No, they're like, no, we're going to make it for men. Boom, done. There you go. And that's what you have to do for this. Know your audience. And believe it or not, your experienced veteran players who've been playing the game more than anyone else are the ones you want to cater to. Because they're the ones who are going to stick around. They're the ones who understand what a good game is. Because they're playing it. So you should be catering to them, not the new players who don't know anything. Because then you're going to alienate your veterans. They're going to leave, which happened with 6.0. The amount of players who left was ridiculous. And now you have an influx of new players who don't even stay. And so you have all these new players coming and going and coming and going and coming and going because you're trying to cater to them. Pick a demographic and build it to that. Who is your audience? Figure that out and cater to them. You're not here to win everyone. You're here to run a business that you want to last, a business that you want to make money in, and a business that hopefully you want to be morally acceptable while running. Okay? You don't want to be thought of as idiots when this game eventually dies, because I for sure hope that if this game dies under your guys' watch because of what you've done, that you never get jobs again in this field, because you're awful. You don't know how to listen to your community. You don't know how to run a game. When your developers left for Legends, World of Warship's Legends, you guys sucked. The people who are left are awful. All right, but you can make a difference. You can change. So step it up. Do something right. Listen to your community. Not your whole community, but the ones who matter. The ones who are most passionate, again, probably know a thing or two. And they're not the ones you should be kicking. They're not the ones, oh, they said a mean word. Or they were a bit aggressive with their message. Yes, because they love this game. They know this game. They breathe this game. Those are the ones that you really should be paying attention to. But that's my rant for the day. My TED Talk. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button. Comment, subscribe. Please comment. Comment. Not just because it helps the algorithm and it helps me out. It does. I'll be honest. But for real, I want to start conversation. I want to know. What are your thoughts on all this? Are they good? Are they bad? What are you excited about? What are you not excited about? Hopefully what I've said makes sense, and if it doesn't, or you don't agree, that is fine. Please let me know. Let's be civil about it, though. I do occasionally delete some comments because they're just somebody bullying somebody in the comment section for thinking differently. And it's like, okay, I'm probably getting in trouble for deleting this, and I do. I get in trouble for deleting comments like that. And they're like, you delete comments. Yes, I do, because you were bullying somebody. I love that you had a different opinion, but I didn't like how you decided that someone else was an idiot. And yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all later. Take care, and peace out.